Whoa. No, I don't know why. That it gets me every time. Okay, guys, that stinger, that opener, whatever we want to call it, I don't know what it is, but it gets me going. Even though I don't know when it's coming, where it's coming from. I don't know why it's coming, but it's there. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like some sort of strange illness that originated in a wet market. Why ask why? It's going to get you. And, I was got just now. And some of you might have been too. And that's okay. I just want you to know that living with it is a real hassle, but it's going to get better because every day is better than the last. That's the kind of positive affirmation that we're all about here on POT, the podcast with the most plosives per syllable that you're listening to right now. And we thank you for that. We thank you for every minute, every hour that you listen to, because here's the real reason why. I make money off of your time. Every hour, every episode that you invest with me, I earn approximately 4 cents in cold hard cash. And that means to date, I have earned, get ready, about 12 cents in cold hard cash. That's American dollars. I mean, or denominations of. But, I don't know. I'm not going to spend it all in one place. I can't, really. No one takes pennies, especially just 12 of them. That's so hopefully we get another couple listeners out there today for this one, and I can ratchet that up to 16 cents. And then maybe in about 100 years, I'll be able to afford a cure for that illness I got. No, I should probably... Is disambiguate? Is that a word? Disambiguate? No. Can you verb an ambiguity? I did. I'd like to unconfuse people. Disconfuse? Some of you appear to be peri-confused. But I will clarify things here in a second. I don't have an illness right now. I don't have the COVID. That was just more of like a metaphor that went on for far too long. Almost to allegory territory, which is a real bummer. Because, it was more of a parable. Although I guess that's more of a story, less of an extended analogy or metaphor, which is what an allegory is. I know all my readers or all my listeners already know this. You guys are basically walking dictionaries. But I'm catching up to you. And that's what we're here. That's why we're here. It's for me to catch up to you and again, earn money off of your sweet time. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. We've got a couple of updates since the last, when did I last post? I think I posted one. I think right before I went to Boston. Okay. So Boston was good. Boston happened. The World Series of Comedy was up in Boston last week and I was in it. Just tangentially, I did 7 minutes, and then I was just politely asked to not move on, along with many others. I wasn't the only one. It's not like they singled me out. It's not like they were shaking their head the entire time I was doing my quote comedy, and I just embarrassed myself. I did do that, to be clear. That happened, but it wasn't that bad. It was actually a ton of fun. Boston was a great crew. Great crew? Good God, Anthony. Get a grip. It was a great crowd. Boston people like to laugh. We had a late show, 10 o'clock, because there was a private event there earlier in the day. And earlier in the evening. It's not like they had a private event at 2 and it ended at 4, and they then gave us the 10 o'clock slot. But it was a good show. World Series of Comedy has been a ton of fun so far. That was my second performance I guess that was my third show with them in the second competition, like second satellite. I did not win place or show, but I was there and I performed and a couple people laughed. My cousin Vinny laughed. He was there. In a surprise twist, I posted something about, hey, I'm going to be up in Boston on Instagram. If you're not following me, please do so. It's Anthony Ledon, at Anthony Ledon. ANTHONYLED, 2 N's. There's an O before it. LEDO, 2 N's, and then an E. I feel like a little kid. I'm like holding my hands up to try to explain them. I'm this many N's. And no, it was good. Good show. I saw my cousin Vinny up there. I posted something on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm gonna be in Boston. He's like, I'm in Boston. And I said, well, we should not hang out. But then he was like, no, we definitely should. And we did. He came to the show. One of the 3 people that did, which was pretty nice. It would have been quite lonely in that club without anybody there. But no, we had a good show. There were, I think, 20 to 30 people showed up, maybe. I don't know, 20 people. They made it's a big club. I think it seats maybe 250, 300 people, but they made it feel small. They hung up a couple of curtains. Here's the deal. It's probably normally a sellout kind of club, or at least, I mean, not for us, but we probably would have gotten a few more normally, but we were competing against Steph Curry and the friggin' finals. I'm never going to go head to head with that guy. Ever again. He might have won this one. And if he doesn't retire, or is that even a thing? Like, is he up for retirement? Does he have to get voted off the island? I don't know. I don't follow football. But so it was actually, I stayed in the same hotel as the club, and I come down the stairs, and there's probably 100 people in the lobby. It's a ginormous lobby, like several stories high, and there's two giant jumbotron, like the size of it's basically 40 feet high, probably 100 feet wide, times 2. 2 different screens. I don't know. I didn't have my tape measure handy, but I'm assuming. It might have been 8 feet long, but it's always bigger when I describe it. But they were playing the finals, showing the finals on the TV, and I got caught up. I almost missed my time. The host had to call me and like, Anthony, are you close? And I'm like, I'm watching the game, Kim. And then she's like, well, we're going to start without you. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll catch it, in between my set and whatnot. But no, I came in, it was a good crowd. It was fun. They laughed at the other people's jokes, and a few of mine as well, or just at me. But it was nice to see people. I love doing comedy in other cities. It's been nice just doing the road. It's fun to have an excuse to do some traveling. I actually like traveling. I like getting around, doing things. I'm kind of like one of those millennial girls who's like, I like an adventure. You know what, millennial girl, you're my spirit animal, because I don't like the adventure part. I just like going to different cities and then pretty much doing the exact same thing I would do at home. So maybe VR is going to be good for me. That might be cheaper than going to all these places. But so I'm basically a millennial girl, and I like it. I enjoy it. It's fun just seeing different people and not dealing with fun. It's fun to get outside of the city, because you forget there's a whole other country. Like, there's a whole other world out there that's quite different than New York. And I know, like, talking to comics and hearing a bunch of comedy here, some of it can get quite insular. It tends to be about the same topic sometimes, which is fine. We're all kind of working on our craft in different ways. But it's nice to get away. People here take for granted that they expect everyone to be very progressive and very liberal, and it's very outspoken that way. And it's kind of fun to, which I've talked about on this podcast in the past, but it's fun to go out there to other places where people are a little more normal. They're not quite as mean about that specifically. The people aren't mean here, but it's like every comic gets up in New York and jokes about like how Republicans hate babies, and what else do they do? Oh, some of the jokes, some of them are just really bad. It's basically it's all the stereotypes you think about Republicans being terrible people, and it's nice to not be called a terrible person, even though I don't even know. I kind of identify. I keep one foot in both camps, mostly because I don't want to put 2 feet in any camp, can be a part of either of you. But I like to be with you, just not of you, if that makes sense. And I'm speaking to both sides there. I've been trying to work. This is an unformed joke, but I've been working on this idea that just to kind of gently push back against the typical jokes in New York about the right. And everybody basically says, everybody in the right, everybody in the left, or like, every comedian here basically jokes about how terrible the right is, how they're all assholes, how they're all racist and all this stuff. And it's really funny because I know a lot of Republicans and they are all those things. But no, they're none of those things. But it's just kind of funny to see how narrow-minded people can be also on the left. Because that's generally an attribute that people would ascribe to folks on the right. And that's probably true in a lot of cases. But, a lot of the comedy here and... which is, again, I take it for a grain of salt. That's probably like the most outspoken people are making these kind of jokes. So the average person here is probably more akin to the average person in the rest of the country. But, when you're around people working on their craft, they're generally trying to get noticed and trying to work on very not funny, jokes about the right. And so they try. But anyway, I've been trying to work on this joke and it's not quite there yet, but it's the idea that I'm going to share it with you just because I'm kind of workshopping this thing. But a lot of people here on the left will call the right stupid and they hate them and everything. And the way I envision that, it's kind of like going to a party where you disagree with 50% of the people there. And it's like going to that party where you disagree with 50% of the people there, and they disagree with you, to be fair. But it's also like saying this party sucks, but thanks for paying for it. That's the direction I want to take this joke in. I actually think it would do okay here, once it's actually funny, but I haven't tested it yet. I'm nervous too. Although I shouldn't be. Because I think it's important. I think most people might. I think people would be open to it here. I worry a little bit. I've referenced on this. Yeah, you start talking to people. I have a joke. I have a bit about Fox News, and I kind of make fun of it a little bit. But it's good natured and it plays on both sides. Like the joke kind of cuts both ways, which is important for me. And it's incredible to get to hear people's feedback about that joke after I tell it. This one woman came up to me after a show and went on a very leftist liberal tirade and referenced that joke. She called my father-in-law an asshole because I reference him in the joke because it's the context is I was staying with my in-laws or whatever and they watch Fox News all the time. That's just kind of the idea, the premise. And she leapt to the assumption that the guy was an asshole and it's just funny to hear people say those kinds of things. And it really, it's almost like listening to a person make a racist comment or like a racist joke or something. And I view that as like, it's less harmful. It's not less harmful. It's more interesting to me how dumb you look when you say something like that than it is to me, how mean you might be to other people. I know that there's a lot of negative things that come out of that, so don't, cancel me for that. But, it was just this liberal tirade. She told me to watch a bunch of YouTube videos. She's nice. I like her. But, it was just like, she made the assumption that because I made this joke kind of about Fox News, but it was kind of like, it wasn't anti-Fox News at all. But that's the way she saw it. She saw my in-laws as, an asshole. My father-in-law as an asshole. And it was just, I'm like, how did you know? No, he's not. He's great, actually. So that's, so anyway, that's why I like getting out and doing comedy in other parts of the country, because it's like, these are real people. They're normal people. They're not nuts. They're not loose. They don't have screws loose. And it's nice. I don't know why I keep living here. No, I do. It's a great town. Well, yeah, Boston was great. I did not get up to the North End. Wanted to see their Little Italy again. I haven't been up there for 2.5 years. And although my favorite cannoli place shut down, Maria's was the best cannoli place in Boston. Mike's is not good. The Modern is not good by comparison. And here's why. I think I mentioned this last time. Good golly, Anthony. What? Oh, man. Did I mention this? All right. Just go with me here. Mike's and the Modern are sweet. Too sweet. It's very touristy in that regard. Like it's not a real cannoli. It's just way too sweet. Maria's, on the other hand, who is Italian, I should add, was great because they're not sweet. The ricotta was just very lightly kind of sweetened, like enough so you know, oh, okay, this is a dessert. But you can have a couple of them, 8 of them, and you don't feel like you get it sweeted out. But Mike's and the Modern, they taste like grunt. I have not tried. There was a couple others recommended to me by no one. Actually, it was Eater magazine, or Eater, the E magazine. I think Cafe Paradiso and Parziali's or whatever. I didn't get there. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to come to you next time, and maybe I'll give Mike's and the Modern another shot. I know they're famous, like they're going to be fine. But I would not. I miss Maria's. She just retired. Like that was the deal. She's like, no, I've been doing this for 50 years. I'm done. And I think that was like the quote she gave. She just said, nope, I'm done. Had enough of you people. Actually, she didn't even say that. It was just, I'm done. And I think she went back to Italy maybe for a little while. I don't know. I didn't keep in touch with her. I should have. That would have been great. Like, come back, Maria. If you say it softly, like if you say cannoli, if you speak to the cannoli and you say her name softly, it sounds like a prayer. But it's not going to be the same up in Boston without her. We did go to oysters are great up in Massachusetts. Very fresh, very expensive, but it's worth it in my opinion. I don't know. I'm always a little suspect of dollar oysters. Like I'll do it. I'm still going to do it because I like a value. But man, they were like $3.50 to $4 a pop, and it adds up. When oh man, it adds up. But they're so good. I used to not like oysters. Do you guys like oysters? I love them because it's like you taste a little tiny bite of the ocean of wherever it was from. It's almost, I remember going to this like oyster tasting class, and they, instead of calling it terroir, like they do in wine, meaning you can take the same grape varietal in Australia and in France. You can take the same plant, almost the same grape, and it'll taste totally different, just given the dirt and the environment and everything else, and the sun, the climate, the terroir, right? But they described oysters as having merroir, I can't even say it. But like the equivalent in the sea. And I couldn't taste a difference in any of them. They all just tasted salty, briny, which is great. But if you ever get a chance, I'm not going to convince you to try oysters. I only tried them. I used to hate oysters when I was a kid. My family loved them. Every like Christmas at my grandparents' house, they would have fresh oysters, and even and then smoked ones too. And I didn't like those at all. And then I went out with my then girlfriend and her parents. When you're meeting your girlfriend's parents for the first couple of times, and if they say, "Do you like oysters?" you say, "I love them." There's nothing I would rather have more right now than oysters. And then when they say something like, well, then we should order them. And then you go, absolutely. And then they come and they're like, well, all right, bottoms up. And you just choke it down. And that's how you create memories. That's how you learn to like food. I always wonder how kids get away with not eating stuff, like picky kids. If I were a parent, and I know this is way easier said than done, and I'm probably going to catch some flack from parents out there who are like, it's not that easy. But you hear about all these picky kids, and it's just like, well, just don't feed them anything else. If you put down some chicken and some broccoli or whatever on a plate, which is what I would have for dinner, this is what I made. If you want food, this is what you're having. At some point, they're going to get hungry. They're going to eat it, learn to love it, and have that lovely memory associated of getting food taken away from them. Associated with broccoli. But that's what we do with our dog, and it seems to work. And I'm not going to go so far as to say that a dog is exactly the same as a child, because a child walks on 2 legs and eventually learns how to clean up after itself and hopefully is toilet trained. But I think a dog is pretty close in this regard with food. It works though. If she turns her nose, my dog turns her nose up at kibble now because we've started giving her table scraps on purpose, intentionally. We make her a plate. Sometimes it's just for her. We don't even cook food for ourselves. And she learns to love that. And then we give her some kibble and then she's like, what the hell is this? This tastes like grunt. This tastes like Mike's in the Modern. This tastes like that grunt cannoli. What's going on here? And we're like, no, it's good. It's just for you, made fresh. But she knows the game. So now we're trying to wean her back on regular food. So we give her like regular food, kibble, and then she doesn't like it. After half an hour, we take it away, and then she gets very hungry, and then we give it back to her, in the afternoon, and you know what? She gobbles it down. For a while, I was giving her because I made a bunch of chicken liver parfait, and I was using it up like it was the top layer had gotten kind of oxidized, and so I'm like, well, I don't want this to go to waste, but I don't want to eat it because the color looks blue, and it would have been fine. But I would have given it to my wife, but not for me. But yeah, no, I gave it to Bailey, and she loved it, obviously, because what's not to love about chicken liver parfait? But man, I tell you, coming down from that, it was basically like getting her hooked on heroin. Trying to get her off, because she'd be like, we'd put any food down and she's like, no, fuck that shit. We put any food down and she's like, what the hell's this? I think I just said that. I just said the exact same thing. Do you ever do that? Tell the same joke, like go into the same bit? I mean, I know you're not all comedians out there, but even like hanging out with people, when you're telling your dumb stories, do you ever say like the same one? By the way, you people need to learn how to tell better stories. Anytime, oh God, dinner parties. I'm lucky enough that most of my friends are pretty good about telling very short, concise, pointed stories. Like they have a point to them. But so many people, when you meet, it's kind of like a test. It's like some people, have like, well, do we have things in common? The one thing I want to know is, do you tell long-winded stories? If you do, it's going to be real tough. It's going to be, we can still make this work because I'd like to be an open-minded person. But it's going to be tough. Oh, God. Talking about your kids and the soccer games or, boy, what does, man. Keep it short. Keep it sweet. Keep it funny. That's the reason you tell a story, right? It should entertain or educate. I think I've told that before. I think I've said that exact same thing. That's all right. It's only my mom listening to this, and she'll just hit the 30-second fast forward button. We'll be fine. But anyway, I have strong opinions on people telling stories. All right, what are we going to talk about here? All right, so I gave the update. World Series of Comedy, good. Oh, speaking of being open-minded, I'm going to LA the week after next. City of Angels, which is, I think, what everybody there calls it. Which is, frankly, that's a little bit verbose. I wish you would just cut it back to LA. But I'll go with it. I'll go with you on this. We'll call it City of Angels. But yeah, I'm going there. It's going to be great. I'm doing another World Series of Comedy competition. I'll be on a show on, doing plugs here already. What's today? That's today. That's next week. World Series of Comedy San Diego. I'll be on the Wednesday night show at 7 p.m. local time down in San Diego. So I know not LA, totally different county. But I'll be at the Mic Drop Comedy Club in San Diego. Let's pause here for station identification. Okay, I haven't been to San Diego in a while. I think it's been a few years, maybe on one of our road trips a few years back. I think I remember going down there. My brother and my niece and nephew and sister-in-law are down there. It'd be good. I'm excited to see them, but I'm excited to do comedy down there because I've actually never told jokes on a stage in LA, which is something everybody should do if you're a comedian. I'm assuming. Maybe not. Maybe you don't have to. I know a lot. So speaking of open-minded, this is my point. I don't love LA. I lived in Orange County for a year and worked in Orange County for a year. And then we moved back to Seattle at one point, and then I kept flying down for an additional year to work in LA, Orange County, and San Diego County a little bit. But I don't love it. I've in the past I have associated, or I've said to myself, and maybe on this podcast, hopefully not, we're just going to repeat everything. So if you've listened to the first couple of podcasts, you probably heard it all. You know, it's like getting the sense of a season of something by watching the first couple of things. But anyway, LA is too comfortable. It's sunny. The weather never really sucks. It's right on the beach. You can go outside all you want. I always looked at it like it's like people going out to pasture, you know, where it's like everything's comfortable. There's nothing to complain about. Life is pretty good. I mean, obviously, unless you have to go somewhere, you know, go to the next pasture over, and then traffic's a nightmare. But which, you know, that's fair. You can complain about that. But it's basically like, all right, this is where old people go because it's very comfortable, and where people with dreams go as they watch those dreams in general die. But I'm going to LA. But here's the deal. I also had a lot of fun at LA. I miss it. You know, here's the deal. I didn't love living there, but I really enjoyed traveling there on someone else's dime, you know, because I didn't have to pay to stay there. But, you know, there's tons of fun bars and restaurants. My parents live there. Well, I guess now they're in Orange County, not LA County anymore. But, you know, they love it. So anyway, I'm going down with an open mind to try to re-find or just maybe find a love of LA. But anyway, none of that really matters. You can still not like a city and enjoy the time there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm doing comedy on Wednesday night in San Diego. I'm trying to put together some other shows. There are so many comedy clubs in LA, Orange County, and San Diego County. It's 3 counties. That's how many. That's how many counties I have to cover here. So anyway, I'm trying to figure out which comedy clubs to go to. Let me know your favorite comedy clubs in the comments. I'll try and track those down and see if I can do some comedy there. But yeah, as of right now, Wednesday, July 6th at Mic Drop Comedy Club in San Diego. But that's why I'm going. I want to explore a little bit, you know, getting back to my millennial girl vibe. I'm going to an adventure. I just want to go by the ocean, you know, be on the beach till dawn, watch the sunrise from the opposite direction, watch the sunset. I'm very excited about that. I'll have to pick out what bikini I want to wear. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to unravel. I'm trying to walk back my bias a little bit here. We'll see. Will Anthony be able to unravel a bias, or will he not be able to? This is the question. I don't know. I just had book club last night. No, 2 nights ago. Tuesday night. Yeah, 2 nights ago. And well, depending on when you listen to this, it's been a while. And for most of you, it'll be never, because you're not going to listen to this. Because I don't want to earn too much money from those ads, those sweet, sweet ads playing. But I did book club. And I don't know, have I told you that I do a book club? I love book club. I've been doing it for, I think, 10 years now with it's the same foursome, the same 4 guys. Well, it's me and 3 other guys. But I always feel like whenever I tell people I'm in a book club, they're a little bit surprised. And I don't know if that's because they don't think I can read, which is how I take it, or if it's because I'm a man and you almost never hear, I'm a boy. I'm a real man, boy. But it's you never hear of a man in a book club. You hear a lot of women in book clubs for the wine. And I don't know. Do women actually discuss the book? I feel like, I don't know. I don't know of many. I don't actually, both my stepmom and, no, I don't know if she's in a book. I don't know if she ever was. Now I can't remember. My mother-in-law is in a book club, or was in one. I think she was in 2 at one point. And I think they discussed the book. So anyway, we did not like the book. General consensus was this book was bad. I don't know if I should drop the name of the book, because I don't really want to shit on the author. It's just, it wasn't for me. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I know I've talked about that. Art criticisms here. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. And man, should I tell you what the book is? If you message me, or if you if you want the name of the book, I'll put it in the comments or something, but let me know. But yeah, the book was not good. It was more like, because it didn't follow a story, like nothing happened. It's not like, if you asked me to describe this book to you, I couldn't tell you what it was about, other than, there was a whole bunch of people. It was around spring training in baseball, Arizona, and they were all kind of losers-ish, but on the flip side, the author did a very good job, I think. I really liked how the author was able to use different language write in different styles depending on whose perspective it was, whose POV it was. Yeah. Anyway, that's I'm trying to flip it around and make it somewhat positive, because I know this author probably worked very hard on this book. And if I worked very hard on a book, which I did once, I would not want anybody to be mean to me about it, because, I have very thin skin. It's almost translucent. You can see right through it at some points. But yeah, book club. But it's the other reason I think everybody could benefit from a book club. And here's why, since you asked. It's a way to have a recurring meeting with the same group of people, but you actually, hopefully, maybe become a slightly better person from it. It's not like, me and the bros have lunch date, It's not, no one, okay, great. I mean, that might be good too. But here, the other thing is, not many people read. I think like the average American hasn't read a book in the last 5 years. The average American. And I know like we're 38th in math and 160th in science. So, and that's good. If we want to be number one in bad grades, we're doing it. But man, read a freaking book. At least get somebody else's perspective. Maybe you'd be a little bit more open-minded about how, half the country disagrees with you. Nutbag. Anyway, I think everybody could benefit from a book club, because it's fun to, like, especially when you disagree in the book club, and you have to be civil because these are your friends. You can call them an idiot for having an opinion different than yours, and all of the other three guys are idiots, because they disagree with me sometimes, and I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. No, they're great. That's the thing. See, I even feel bad joking about how stupid they are. But yeah, okay. Now, do I have to edit that out? That was dumb. I'll keep it. That's the thing. I don't want to spend too much time on this, because time is money, and I have to make more of it. Okay, back to the book club. Yeah, read a book. Talk to somebody about it. Oh, the other thing is, we usually go around the horn and talk about our initial opinions about the book. And I said I hated it. And I did not mince my words. I said I hated it because, these guys, I can do that with these guys. I'm not worried about their feelings, if they liked it or disliked it and whatever. It's fine. I can just say I fucking hated it. But that, like, one of the other guys pointed out a positive, and he's the one I stole the opinion from, about how the author actually, he thinks, did a pretty good job writing in different perspectives and different language for each of them. Okay, so that's maybe a little ting, a little point, a little boop in the column of Anthony can grow, become a slightly better human, not just shit on a book. But and it's also good to catch up. It's also good to have, we, in a perfect world, we would do it once a month, but I think now, lately it's been like 4 a year, which is not great. But I don't know, for some reason, I don't know why, we had difficulty picking books or something, or we just forgot. One time, one of them had one of their kids like fell off a deck and broke his collarbone. And my argument is no excuses. You should make book club, find someone else to take that kid to the ER, and console him. But, I guess you got to pick priorities, and he picked that one. But yeah, join a book club. If you're not in one, form one. It's not that hard. You just say, hey, do you want to do a book club? You want to read a book with me? You don't have to read at the same time. But here, if you're looking for a format for a book club, here's how we do it. choose a schedule to meet. Actually, we don't even choose a schedule to meet. We just it's ad hoc every time. We keep a Google Doc, a Google Sheet where we will pick out all the days. We'll basically put our availability into the spreadsheet, and then a formula will tell us what days we can meet, and then we'll figure out from there. But each turn, someone picks a book. So like I picked, what was the last one I picked? Not Noise, not that one. Oh, it was Stolen Focus by Johann Hari, who I think was a plagiarist before this book. Anyway, don't quote me on that. I don't want to spend, I think he plagiarized, or was accused of plagiarizing stuff formerly. But the book was still pretty good. This one I don't think he plagiarized. I think it was all his ideas. Anyway, so that I picked the book, and then I buy it for all the guys. I buy mine usually from bookshop.org because I like to support bookshops. Because I don't want Amazon to be the only bookseller around, even though it is cheaper. It's like Amazon, man. You're making it tough to shop at bookshop.org because I think I paid $25 to $30 a book per book, and that's 4. And I don't do math. I should join a math group instead. But it would have been half price on Amazon. Anyway, somebody picks the book. I picked Stolen Focus. I mailed it out to the guys, and then I scheduled the date. We do it on Zoom because we're all in different states. But we've been doing it that way for 10 years. Well, actually, no, we all used to be in Seattle, but none of that matters. Join a book club. Join a friggin' book club. Tell me about it. Tell me what books you're reading. God, is this turning into a book club, a book cast, a book club cast, book podcast? I don't know what you call it. But do it. Tell me about it. It's fun. I highly recommend it. All right. We got to talk about what else we got. I don't know why. That's my calendar. That's my mail. What am I doing? Did that. Book club. What else we got? Oh, okay. Okay, so my wife, I just did that. And you're welcome. I hate myself a little bit more. I'm going to have to do some positive affirmations to rectify my chakra balance. But my wife, that was even worse. My wife, she is dabbling with vegetarianism. Not 100%, but, leaning into more plant-based stuff, and which means I am too, a little bit. Here's the pros and cons. On the pro side, it's way cheaper. It is surprising how much cheaper it is. And, with inflation and, being a man of leisure, it's very difficult for me to afford steak dinners every single night. Especially seafood. Man, seafood is ridiculously expensive. And I swear, maybe 20% of the time, it's not even fresh here in New York. But I've talked about that. I know I've talked about that one on previous podcasts. But anyway, vegetarianism, it is cheaper. It's so much cheaper, which is great. A good steak. Actually, you know what? I'll put this in the pros as well. So here's the high level concept here. We're dabbling in vegetarianism. We're not going by the rules. We're not saying it has to be totally strict. Okay, kind of 80-20ing it a little bit. I'm not doing that. I'm ordering meat whenever I want, and I'm loving it. But in general, at home, because I got to cook, her stuff, because she's prioritizing vegetarianism or being more plant-based. It's I don't want to cook a steak just for myself. That's the other. Well, yeah. All right. So that's it. No rules. Just in general, more plant-based. It's actually kind of nice. You get more variety of flavor. Because you're now eating a whole bunch of different vegetables, and we don't do a lot of fruits. I don't like fruit. I mean, no offense, happy Pride, but don't do fruit for the most part. Do a little bit of watermelon in the mornings, maybe a couple of bites of pineapple or something. But I'm not I need to have fruit. I'm not snacking on grapes all day. Who's the weirdo snacking on grapes all day? I did that when I was a kid. That seems like something you give a kid because you can buy a whole bunch of grapes and just throw it in their lunch bag and stuff, and then they can, it's a snack. It seems like a kid snack to me. But who's munching on grapes? They're not. I've never been blown away by a grape. I've been blown away by wine, but I've never thought, wow, I definitely have to have more grapes. I do like cherries, especially, when they're in season and really good. Those, that can be kind of fun. But man, grapes. I've never had my socks knocked off by a good grape. And no one ever recommends like, oh, you got to try these grapes. There's no like grape fest, in grocery stores. Like growing up, there was a grocery store down the street that used to do like a peach fest or something. And especially it was white peaches. Oh, and they also had regular peaches. So it was just a big peach fest in the summer. But it was like a big deal. It was a special thing, and they were pretty good. But like, and peaches can be nice. I never thought I'd be ranting about fruit, but here we go. But grapes, get over yourself. Admit that you are way better off as wine than you are anything else. Or cognac. I will give you that. You are very good at cognac. Armagnac as well. Okay, so maybe you've got some options. But grappa, that's taking it too far. That'll take the paint off of my walls. I do not like grappa. That's like the one Italian thing I can't be a part of. I can't get behind it. That's all. Yeah, that's one thing where I've never had good grappa. I mean, I've tried it, a lot of it. Man, and I there are times when I wish I would have had more grappa so I could forget having that grappa. But yeah, grapes, you're like a brick. A brick it's very nice. It's very symmetrical. It's got a nice shape to it, a good color. It's useful. You can throw a brick, but it's way better building a church in which you can put wine in like the tabernacle area. Did I go too far with that? I think I went too far with that. But yeah, grapes, I'm done with you. So anyway, I'm probably going to have some grapes after this and then some wine. But yeah. So anyway, vegetarianism, that's the pros, more variety of flavor. Because it's a little more difficult. Let's go to a con. There's an associated con with this, is that you have to think a little bit more. How do I want to do these vegetables? If it's broccoli, you can roast it. Brussels sprouts, roast it. If anything brassica like that, you can roast. Cauliflower, again, roast. Just toss it with a whole bunch of olive oil and salt, a little pepper, roast it off, done. Asparagus in the spring, you can broil. That's my preferred method because it's just easy. Again, toss olive oil, salt, and pepper, broil it off. What other vegetables? Oh, we do spinach every morning. So yeah, you get a little more variety. You do have to think a little bit more about what you're doing with it, because salads get boring after a while. Actually, that is one thing we do, because we get like nice greens, and it is a little more expensive for the good greens. So depending on how you do this, you can get slightly nicer greens. Like the heirloom mixes. I'm a fan of frisee. Don't judge me, okay? I'm a fan of frisee. But it's kind of fun to eat, It's like you're eating like it's like you're eating a Bichon Frise's fur. And is that why they call it that? Because it is kind of like curly and crunchy. Anyway, all right. That went off the rails real fast. But what others? I don't worry about nutrients because nobody really cares about protein. I work out. I use protein powder. That's how I get my protein. I don't like beans. I'm not going to do legumes just because they're not worth it. I'm gassy enough already, and I don't want to put I don't put anything else down that musket. I don't want to be firing. Now I'm getting upset stomach just thinking about it. But yeah, so beans. I'm turning into the guy telling the long-winded story that would have driven me nuts. But that's how podcasts work. All right. So lay off me, listeners. I know you're all geniuses out there just taking apart this entire thing. You're already 3 steps ahead of me, and I'm still like, what path are we going on? You guys are too much for me, my 2 listeners out there. But I want to thank you for the 12 to 14 cents I will probably have earned by the end of the year from this episode alone. And you guys are making my day. Not quite putting bread on the table. Maybe 1 slice. Certainly no bacon. Not bringing home the bacon with this cast. But one day we will. One day we will. So yeah, vegetarianism. She's liking it. She's enjoying it. The other pro is that because it's like a little more difficult, you have to kind of think about what you're eating. It's good for, portion control and weight loss. Like if you are trying to lose a few pounds, I have found, because you can only eat so much broccoli, until you're like, oh, good God, I can't do this, So that is good. So yeah, you probably lose some weight if you do that. What else can I tell you about vegetarian? Are you guys doing it? I do. I don't care about the planet as much. I know that there are benefits there. So if that's your thing and you want to be more plant-based because you want to be more of an eco-warrior, do it. I applaud you. I don't care. I love beef. I love meat. I especially love pork. I do try to buy nicer stuff though. Let's talk about me for a second here. I do try to buy nicer meats because in general, I think that those are probably better treated animals because that's probably how they got to be tasty anyway. And don't tell me about the whole grass-fed thing. Don't tell me how great grass-fed beef is. It's not well, first of all beef is grass-fed. It's just not grain finished or corn finished. What do they eat? I can't remember if it's grain or corn, but either way, that just sweetens them up a little bit at the end. And you know what? They're fine. I don't love, I don't care about the grass-fed. I don't think it's any healthier. I don't want to know. I'll put it that way. So don't even tell me because it's not going to change anything. I don't think I eat enough of it where it's going to be like, wow, what happened to Anthony? Used to be great, but now he's amazing. Yeah. He started eating grass-fed beef. That took him from 9 to 12. That's how he really started achieving. My butter's grass-fed. Don't care. Do not care. They just happen to be grass-fed, those cows. You gotta have grass-fed beef. I've had grass-fed beef. It's boring. I've had good grass-fed beef. I've had really bad and chewy grass-fed beef. So I think it has more to do with the cow and the pasture than it does like the fact that they weren't grain finished. How else are you gonna get flavor in there? You nutbag. I love the Japanese Wagyu beef. That's where they actually get massages. The actual stuff. Like if you've never paid like $100 for a 3-ounce piece of meat, you probably haven't had real Wagyu beef. There are a couple of cows that they like liberated from Japan and brought them here, and they were technically Wagyu. But again, going from the terroir to the merroir, this is like cowar. They're going to be different. They're not treated quite the same. They don't get the massages. They don't, bathe them in Sapporo. Or is that the beer? Singhai. That's not it. That's Chinese, I think. Tsingtao? No, I think I can't remember now. Who's Sapporo, right? I think it's Sapporo. Anyway. Yeah, but they treat them really well, and the beef it's amazing. It's like cow. It's basically like meat butter. Give it a shot. The real thing is in fact, you could split that 3-ounce thing. That I would do that for like a birthday dinner, like a real big celebration or like an anniversary or something. Well, not with my wife because actually then I would do it because then I would get the whole thing. But that would be a lot. Like you can really only have a few bites, and it is, but it's so good, and it cooks so fast. They're very thin. You just sear it off. You don't want to melt it too much because some of it will melt out of the pan. Anyway, talk to me if you want recipes. I've got ways to cook this. But yeah, vegetarianism, it's good. Oh yeah. So anyway, that's the flip side is now like when I do want meat, I want really good meat. Like so many restaurants have really shitty beef and you can tell. Like if look at the shape of a ribeye when it comes out, it should have a very thick decal on it. That's the lip. And I've been very happy paying a lot of money for like the very occasional steak, like once every 3 months, and it's so good. Always at the Outback Steakhouse because they know how to do it. From down under. All right, let's pause now for station identification. And we're back. All right, so one last thing I want to talk about. I think that's enough about vegetarianism. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Are you vegetarian? Are you going all the way and going vegan? I tell you what, I cannot do that. I still do eggs. Love it. Cheese. We don't do that much cheese, but we usually like it. Excuse me. It's just, I don't know. We just kind of gotten out of the habit of buying it, but I'm not going to do, I don't care enough to be a vegan. I understand. I get that you think there are benefits, and that's great. That's great for you. I want you to experience that and have all those benefits. It's not for me. I love meat. I'm going to bacon. I just cooked some pork belly. I made my own bacon basically a couple of weeks ago, and it was delish. I posted that duck video, a couple of months ago on YouTube. I would do that again in a heartbeat. I still have the confit legs in my fridge that I got to take care of. But that's the thing. That lasts for months. I don't know why I said that's the thing, because that's not really the thing. I don't know what that's. Okay, anyway, let's move on, Anthony. One last thing. Okay, last thing here. I've been talking about Live Golf Tournament a little bit the last couple of podcasts, and I want to say I want to continue the thought there. I'm so happy it came up. I just saw a headline the other day. Lauren and I were at Hillstone, and they have golf. They have like ESPN and whatever on their TVs at the bar. It's like one TV. It's very classy because it's no sound ever. And one of the headlines was PGA Tour announces, something like 8 new tournaments total with purses totaling $25 million, which is like a giant improvement from the way it was. And that's in direct response to the fact that Live Golf is now a big thing, because they gave people a lot. Number one, they were offering individual golfers a lot of money to come play on their tournament or their tour. But then each tournament had such a huge purse, you'd be stupid not to. DJ Dustin Johnson kept saying like, yeah, I'm going there. This is what's best for me and my family. It's like, yeah, because they gave you $125 million to go play in that tour. And if you're a pretty damn good golfer, and if you do pretty well, you're making a ton of cash. So yeah, of course it's good for you and your family. But anyway, I love the fact that now PGA, so basically I don't get why this was ever a bad thing. Like, how are more options bad for those golfers? Like, either way, they're going to be able to take home more money. And one of my I love Rory. He was a huge defender of the PGA Tour, saying those guys made the wrong decision or something. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing, and maybe I'm making that up. Tiger made a comment like, yeah, well, there's something to be said for tradition, which is maybe why he keeps wrecking cars. That's he's good at that. Have I used that joke before? I think I may have. Well, I guess that's the theme of today. Come up with some new material, Anthony. But, okay. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so now it's great. There's more competition. Now PGA is going to pony up and dish out some more cash. It's so good. How is this not better for people? Anyway, good on Greg Norman and, the Saudis for coming up with a tournament. And Phil, God, you whiny little guy. Why did you have to, you idiot? You made the dumbest comments in the world. I mentioned that in the last podcast, how he teed up his choice to go join Live Golf. It's like, look, I know they've done a lot of terrible things, but I'm doing this, I'm still doing it. Just say you're doing it. All right, that's it. I know now, I know I'm repeating myself. That's what I should just do. I should just repost the same episodes now. All right. I know last time I talked about a few different things because I didn't do the news, but all right, we're good. I think we're good. All right, let's end it here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Love to each and every one of you. You really, my 2 listeners out there, you make me happy. This, yeah. Anyway, thanks so much. Appreciate you tuning in, spending an hour with me. Have a great week. We'll see you next one. Oh, and by the way, if you aren't, so I do post these on YouTube and Spotify video, I think. You can catch me there. On YouTube, it's Anthony Ladon, and everywhere else, it's Poat, P-O-A-T. You can follow me on Instagram at Anthony Ladon, or I did create a Poat-specific handle. I haven't posted anything there yet. That's at Poat_pod. Mostly because one of my favorite podcasts does that. It's all over the place with Pat McGann and Jim Flanagan. I just listened to their latest this morning at the gym, and they created one. It's AOTP_pod. Give them a follow. Really enjoy that one. Anyway, thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next week.